Hi, welcome to Getting Biblical, the show where I drink too much and talk about my favorite Bible stories. I am Matt Smith, your host, and thank you for joining us today. So today we are talking about the book of Daniel. There's so much here. It's actually, so if you remember back to the Samson bit that we did where the story was so long, I had to cut it up into two different episodes. We had a part one and part two. Well, the Daniel and company stories are similar in that we're going to do two episodes on it, but they're two distinct stories, but they have the same starting point, the same premise. They're super great. So there's a lot in there, a lot of fun, and it's actually something I've been looking forward to doing for several weeks now as we get rolling. So I hope you enjoy, and let's go ahead and get started. And by started, I mean let's do what we do for every episode and talk about what I am drinking today. If you've been keeping notes thus far, what is this, episode 7, I think? 8? So episode 8. We have pretty much only drank whiskey and scotch and bourbon on the show, which might be boring to some of y'all. I love it. That's my go-to. I love the whole whiskey family. Also, I'm a lot a bit on a diet right now and trying to cut back. So as much as I love beer and other super fun things to drink, the spirits are generally carb free and not saying that they're healthy for you if you're trying to get particular less carbs, less empty carbs and that stuff. So I have been drinking a lot more whiskey and things of late. Today I decided to switch it up for this episode, and I was trying to tie it into some reason, but there's no tie-in. There's no cute pun. There's no reason. I just really wanted wine tonight, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I grabbed a bottle. I was at the store, and I'm sure you've seen the commercials. The Apothic series of wine, their marketing campaign's been really I don't mean this in a throw it on the bus type of way, but aggressive. They've been out there a lot of, I feel like of all the wines out there, which are they in the millions now? Like there's so many wines in the world, and it's overwhelming. Apothic and what they've been doing have been really like commercialized, and they're out there. And again, not saying it's a bad thing. They're putting themselves out there. So this is the Apothic Inferno, which I saw today in the store. Definitely caught my attention. One, because of marketing and commercials and seeping into my subconscious, but also because it is the wine is aged in whiskey barrels for 60 days. So my love of whiskey still shines through, even with the wine. The label is pretty badass, pretty amazing. Just fiery inferno. I mean, it matches up with the name. There's fire and like some vine stuff everywhere. They're just getting burned up. It's a really cool image. So I bought it, because of the aged 60 days in the barrels, whiskey barrels. And got home, and I'm actually nearing the end of the bottle. I started when I was cooking dinner and figured I'd finish the bottle on air. But I was really surprised because I thought that with the name like Inferno, it was going to be like super like spicy, like the notes were going to be, like I don't know if I've ever really had a spicy wine per se, but I thought it would be drier. It's actually super smooth, and I mean you can taste the fruits in there. There's a lot of it's really good, and it's mellow. It's much more mellow than I thought. I'm actually pleasantly surprised. I do like it, but it's just like probably not a great example. I don't know how old of you guys are old enough to remember when I was, I don't even know, 12 or something. I don't know if it was a movie tie-in or just whatever, but I think it was Heinz came out with green colored ketchup. It was just dyed green. I was 12. I don't remember, but it was ketchup. It wasn't made differently. It wasn't made, just food coloring to make it green. And you would squirt it out on your plate, and you just see this green like loop on there. And you just stick a French fry in there and eat it, and it would taste like ketchup. It was just maybe slightly different because of the dyes. I don't know, but it was ketchup. And your brain would, like, if you close your eyes and just like ate the French fry and ate the ketchup, it'd be like, oh, this is definitely ketchup. But when you watched your fingers grab the French fry and dip it in this green goop and then put it up to your mouth, it was like, oh my, this tastes like ketchup. Like it was crazy. Like it was just ketchup. It's not a big deal. But I think that's with this wine, with the label and like Inferno and all that, I really thought it would be like a different type of flavor profile. And in fact, it's really smooth and super good. Again, not complaining at all. Highly recommended. But it doesn't match up. When I had the bottle sitting in front of my face, in front of the microphone here, and I'm looking at it, it's not what I keep thinking that I should be tasting, if that makes sense. I'm a big fan of reds. I love reds, which I'll probably get into in a different episode as to why. There is a story there. So anyway, Apothic Inferno is much more mellow than I thought. Much, is easy to drink, and highly recommended. That being said, we're done with the alcohol stuff. Let's get to the biblical stuff. The book of Daniel. So Daniel, we find ourselves at the point of the Bible where the children of Israel, the Israelites, are established in Jerusalem. So this is after everything with Moses and bringing them out of Egypt, which we haven't really covered yet. Remember with Balaam and the donkey and everything. Past that point, like they're established now. They're in Jerusalem, which I know we haven't gotten that story yet, but just imagine like this is kind of like a little bit of a future episode from some of the stuff that we've done, where they're established. They have Jerusalem. They have a temple. They've got bit of a government in place and stuff. They're established. And here in the book of Daniel, out of nowhere, the king of Babylon, King Nebuchadnezzar, comes in and sieges Jerusalem, takes over everything, just comes in. This is mine now. Plants his flag. He's in charge. He just like kind of we talked about how the whole Bible is like a roller coaster and up and down of them being good and on God's good graces, and then being dicks, and then they have to get punished and go into slavery. And it doesn't really talk about that they did anything wrong necessarily, but we're clearly in the phase of they're under the control of someone else now. King Nebuchadnezzar runs in there, takes over everybody, kind of enslaves the people. It doesn't really talk about like the enslavement of like what they did in Egypt when they had to build pyramids and things like that. So it's a little bit different type of lording over them all. So that's just kind of give you like a baseline of where we're at. So King Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, he's there. He's now in control of all the people in Jerusalem and everything. And he goes into their temples and sees all their holy artifacts, the goblets and the incense. I don't know. It doesn't specify if he takes the Ark of the Covenant or not. Whatever. It says that he takes their artifacts, takes their stuff, and brings them back to his own temple, his own shitty temples, and puts them on display and puts them there. And he just kind of like takes it all, does whatever he wants with everything. He also like puts out a word for his staff, and he says, go out to the Israelites. Go out and find me the most, I don't know, it's very specific, the most handsomest and smartest guys of the Israelites, and bring them here to train them and educate them for 3 years and teach them our language so they can be even smarter, and then they're going to be my best servants ever. Basically, he was looking for the cream of the crop, like smartest, best, handsomest, whatever, like people to train to just be like his best slaves, his best servants. But he's not like all bad. I mean, he's even like, we'll feed them from the king's table, and like they'll be taken care of, but they're still gonna, they're gonna work for me. And his people went out and they did that, and they went out and drafted all the smart and handsome guys from the Israelites. And there's a big group that they brought back, and all the best of the best that they could find. But there were 4 guys of that group that were like the best of the best of the best of the best. Like these guys were sharp. They're the best. So having to come from the bloodline of Judah, which I'm not going to spend time right now because that'll take a little bit. But bloodline of Judah, if you ever come back to this episode later and when I talk about the different bloodlines, it might be a little bit of an Easter egg. So we'll just leave it there. So anyway, so these 4 guys. One of them is Hananiah. One is Mishael. One is Azariah. And, of course, Daniel. Which is just, it feels absurd to me. Like, Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah, and Daniel. Like, damn, Daniel. Like, what do you like? How do you get such a basic white boy name? Do you remember the scene from the first Men in Black where they comes up? Was it the worms? No, not the worms. No, the twins. Remember the twins? They were like the ones on the keyboards, the big old alien things. And he's like, oh, this is I don't know his name. Like, oh, this is bleep bleep bloop bloop and Bob. Like to say like a ridiculous name matched up with a very common simple name. This is what I've always thought. It's just like, oh yeah, Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah, and of course Daniel. Anyway, and then so they're brought in to the king's courts or whatever you want to call it, and they start getting trained up and educated and everything to be these servants. And when they came in, they start getting served food. It's not kosher, right? So there's pork products and things like that. And so they asked their trainer guy if they could, they're not trying to cause a fuss. They want to abstain from eating the unkosher foods. And like, what if you just, trainer man, give us just vegetables and water for, and just do that. Like, we don't want the meat stuff. We don't, we're really picky eaters. They're going full vegan at this point. Trainer's like, guys, that's gonna be the king will get super pissed if you guys get, like, if I feed you less than everyone else and you guys start getting weaker for it. Like, that's my head. And they're going like, make you a deal. For 10 days, for the next 10 days, give us nothing but vegetables and water and feed everybody else everything, all the same stuff. And at the end of 10 days, whichever group of us four or everybody else, whoever looks healthier and feels healthier, then you'll know your answer, and if you think it's them, then we'll abide by that, and we'll eat the unkosher food and all that. So the trainer's like, okay, that's fair, and he agrees, and then it happens. And then 10 days later, after just eating vegetables the whole time while everybody else is eating all the good king food and stuff, Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah, and Daniel just they are more awake and ready, and their skin's almost glowing, like they just look better. And so the trainer gives in and is like, you know what, you guys got it. Whatever you say goes. Like, you're clearly head and shoulders above the rest of everyone. So, and I forgot to mention that the king, very slave owner style, didn't want them to have their original names, so he changed their names to something that he felt was more fitting. So Hananiah becomes Shadrach, Azariah becomes Abednego, and Mishael becomes Meshach, which I said that in the non-order that it rolls off the tongue. So they become Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and Daniel is renamed Belteshazzar. Belteshazzar. But from henceforth, I'm still going to call him Daniel because... Anyway, so Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, I think, are much cooler names. They're easier to say. Sounds like a folk band, I think, is what I envision. Like you would see like at the fair, like, oh, if you're tired of puking up corn dogs on the Ferris wheels, like come see Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego play the fiddle. Like, I don't know. So from henceforth, it'll be Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and Daniel. So then God blessed the four boys and made them super smart and super quick learners, and they did everything very well. They couldn't fail at anything. They were awesome. For 3 years, they did their whole studies, and they learned the language and everything. They just impressed the shit out of the king, passed all his tests with flying colors, and they surpassed everybody else in the program. Apparently, it says that even they showed that they were even smarter than the king's actual wizards and magicians, and things were going pretty good. Like, as far as like slave life goes, they were making headway. Then we come to the part, King Nebuchadnezzar starts having bad dreams. It's not like a one and done or whatever. It's a constant recurring every night. He's having the same exact dream, and he's freaking out about it. And he can't sleep, and he doesn't know what to do. So he goes out and he summons all his wizards and magicians and whatever else you want, whatever word you want to call them from his kingdom, so he can come and interpret the dream. So all their guys show up, and I think I already used the example, but in the Balaam episode, I think, but like Jafar or like whatever, like all these guys, these slimy kind of whatever, they show up, and wizards and magicians, and they're like, yeah, yes, like, long live the king, whatever, like, we're here to serve you. Like, just tell us your dream, and we'll tell you the meaning. We got you, dog. We'll do it. And he's like, nope. This isn't how it works. Because I'm not dumb. If I tell you my dream, you're just going to say whatever you want to say, and I don't have a choice but to believe it. And I don't want you to say just whatever you say. I want to know that you are actually using magic to interpret my dream. So here's the deal. He says, I want you to tell me what my dream is. Tell me what I'm dreaming, and then interpret it. So the test you have to pass is to tell me what I'm dreaming. They all start losing their shit, and they're just like, we promise, my lord, that we will interpret it real good for you. We'll be truthful. Don't worry about it. Just tell us the dream. He's like, nope. Did I stutter, bitch? I told you, this is your job. If you do it, if you can tell me what my dream was and interpret it for me, I will give you riches and honor and everything. If, though, you screw it up, I will have you cut into pieces, and I will turn your houses into rubble. That is definitely a quote-unquote from the passage. I will have you cut into pieces and turn your houses into rubble. So, the stakes are pretty high for these guys to flat out tell him this is what your dream was, which is like a 1 in a billion chance. If you're just cold guessing it, and then to interpret it. Interpreting is the easy part. It's the guessing that's the hard part. And so they're all stressed out clearly because they don't want to be cut into pieces and their houses turned to rubble. And so they're all a mess. And he's like, I'll give you a little bit of time, figure it out. At some point, I guess he's like tired of waiting. He's like, all right, you know what? Just let's kill them all. They die. Yeah, I don't know I can't remember if he gave them like a day or two or whatever. But he's like, you know what? I'm tired of waiting. You guys clearly don't know it. So he sends out his guards to go round up everyone in his like kingdom or in his whatever he deemed a wizard or a wise man or whatever with different levels of magical powers, I guess, or something. But anyway, so Daniel gets rounded up in this group, as well as I think Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. But they all get rounded up, and Daniel's like, whoa, I wasn't there for the meeting. This is new to me. What's the deal? And the guard's like, well, yeah, you wizard guys don't know how to interpret the dream, so we got to bring you in, and we're all going to cut you into pieces and turn your houses into rubble. And Daniel's like, wait. Let's talk about this for just a second. Can I get like a day, and can I talk to my friends and figure it out? He does. They give him 24 hours. They get 24 hours before they're going to be cut into pieces and everything. Daniel goes back to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and they're like, we got to pray to God for help. God's got to help us right now. Things look pretty dire. And so they all get together, they all pray, and they all do the thing. If you remember the Balaam and the donkey, where they kept, every time they wanted to go talk to God, they killed like 7 goats and 7 oxes and just mass slaughtered animals in order to do it. There's just for the record, just so you know, there's no record of them doing that. It's just, they just went and like beside their bed, like the old, like the paintings that you would see, like they just prayed. I just asked them, they just, hey God, we're kind of in a situation, if you could help us out, like, you know, which I kind of respect more, like this, like in the unnecessary violence of killing animals for sacrifices for no reason. Anyway, and they prayed, and then God answered. God gave Daniel a vision of the king's dream. And so the next day, they run up and they tell the captain of the guard and all, stop, don't kill the wise men. We figured it out. Bring us to the king. We'll tell him his dream. We'll interpret it. We'll do everything. So they go up, and King Nebuchadnezzar's like, you figured it out, huh? And Daniel said, no wise man, no wizard, nor magician on earth could do what you ask. But there is a God in heaven who reveals mysteries. And he did. Your dream is about the future. And then he proceeds to tell him what his dream was. I'm going to just kind of read a little bit of the passage here because it's easier than paraphrasing it. So this is, I think, verse 32. In the dream, you saw a huge statue. The head of the statue was made of pure gold, its chest and arms of silver, its belly and thighs of bronze, its legs of iron, its feet partly of iron and partly of baked clay. While you were watching, a rock was cut out, but not by human hands. It struck the statue on its feet of iron and clay and smashed them. Then the iron, the clay, the bronze, the silver, and the gold were all broken to pieces and became like chaff on the threshing floor in the summer. That's the dust that's left behind by like wheat and stuff. The wind swept them away without leaving a trace. But the rock that struck the statue became a huge mountain and filled the whole earth. End scene. End quote. Then Daniel says, so that was your dream. It doesn't really specify that the king at that point confirmed it, and now we'll interpret it for you, says Daniel. And he goes on to say, King Nebuchadnezzar, you are the king of all kings. You represent the statue's head of gold. But after you will be a lesser kingdom, the one of silver, and after that even lesser, one of bronze, and so on to the iron and clay feet of the statue, the weakest point, clearly. And at that point, it will hardly even be a kingdom, because iron and clay do not mix. And at that point, when everything else is swept away by the rock that crushed everything and the rock that grows in the mountain, for God is going to bring in a new kingdom that will endure forever. The king bows down before Daniel and says, your God must be the best God ever and the solver of mysteries. And he gives Daniel a bunch of presents and money and gave him the official title of the smartest guy in the whole country. And Daniel helped his friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, get all promotions, and everything was pretty sweet. That is... I'm not stopping yet, so hold up. That's kind of like the baseline story for the rest of this episode and everything we talk about in the next episode. And that was just kind of the foundation of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and Daniel and their stories. So now that you have that, let's continue. Then sometime later, I guess King Nebuchadnezzar thought that the dream idea of the whole the golden statue was a pretty great idea. He's like, never mind the whole thing, the feet are partly clay and they get hit by a pebble and the whole thing crashes. Forget that. But I would like a big gold statue that looks like me. That'd be pretty dope. So he goes out and does it. He commissions it and he makes this big gold statue. And then he goes out and he sends out invitations to all the A-list celebrities in the area so they can have a big party so they can come and view his golden statue. And anybody who was anybody was there. I mean, we're talking Leonardo DiCaprio, LeBron James, Kanye West, I guess, the Kardashian, or else is super hot right now, but they're all there, all the A-list. And then the king does a little speech and lets everybody know that he's making a new rule. The rule is that anytime, anywhere, if you hear a trumpet or a flute or even a whistle being blown throughout the kingdom, you're supposed to drop whatever you're doing and bow down and worship this golden statue. And if you don't, we're going to throw you into the blazing fiery furnace. We're going to burn you alive. No, but whatever. Just drop whatever you're doing and just worship this golden statue. If you hear a trumpet or a flute or any kind of musical thing happen, no big deal. Right? That's not an inconvenience at all. /sarcasm. But that's what his rule. And all the A-list celebrities are yeah, it's a great rule. It's an awesome rule. I don't understand why it took this long to get that rule. Let's go with it. Let's do it. And then, of course, the king's men start blowing the trumpet immediately, and all the celebrities, they bow down and worship the statue, and the king is just, beside himself. His dick is hard. Yeah, I'm the best king ever. King Nebuchadnezzar. And then some of the magicians and astrologers who were previously all butthurt that Daniel and his friends figured out the king's dream went to the king during this whole trumpet thing and said, hey, those Jew boys over there, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, and Daniel, they're not bowing down when they hear the music, and that's against the law. You need to punish them. And King Nebuchadnezzar got super mad. For some reason, didn't didn't fuck with Daniel. I don't know why, but he just grabbed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He brings them in, and so 3 guys come into his throne room or his inner chambers or whatever. He's like, listen. I heard a nasty little rumor that you aren't bowing down when the trumpets are blown or when you hear a whistle or whatever. And, I get it. He said, she said, whatever. Like, I'm not even going to ask you what happened in the past. I'm not worried about it. You guys, I just promoted you a little while ago. Like, you guys are all good guys. Just do us a favor. Let's make this easy. From now on, when you hear the sound, you just bow down. Fair enough, right? Capiche. The 3 guys, sorry to tell you, King, but no, we don't do that. We only bow and worship our God, the one true God. We can't bow and worship a man. It doesn't work that way. No offense. And the king loses his shit. I don't know. He goes mental, and he goes, what God? He's not a believer, clearly, at this point. What God can save you from me and my wrath? Like, he feels highly disrespected. What God can save you from me and my wrath and keep you from being burnt up in the furnace? They're like, well, technically, ours, sir. We believe in our God that he's not going to let you kill us or do anything. And he's the only thing that we were going to bow down for. We don't give a fuck about what you say, what you're going to do. And the king, again, just loses it. He had all the A-list celebrities. He had everybody just pandering and brown-nosing and worshiping his statue. And these schmucks are just like, nope. Go fuck yourself. And he just loses it. So he ties them all. He gives the orders to the guards or whatever. He ties up the Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He ties them all up, and he tells his people to burn up the furnace 7 times hotter than normal. I have no idea what that is in Kelvin or Celsius, or I don't know how hot that is, but apparently it's so hot that the Bible says that the biggest and strongest of his guards, so he picked The Rock's Scorpion movie. Was that straight to DVD or did that come out in the theaters? Anyway, after The Mummy, where he was like the captain of the guards and then everything turned. I don't even know the plotline of that movie. Where The Rock was like the lead captain, right, of the army there. I believe that's how the story went. That's like that. He had 3 or 4 Dwayne Johnsons, The Rock, as guards, and they were holding the 3 guys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who were all tied up, and throwing them. They walked up with them, carrying them, and threw them in the furnace. And as these big ass guys throw Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the furnace, it is so hot that these guys, the Scorpion Kings, Dwayne Johnson, burn up and die because it is so hot. Just from throwing them in. That's how hot it was. It was so hot. And the king is, happy. He's like, they got what they deserve. How dare they disrespect me? And he just looks into the furnace because he's just waiting to watch even their bones, char and everything. And he looks into the furnace, and clearly he's a little bit away from the furnace. I don't know if there's a big side panel and how he exactly is looking into it, but he's clearly not close enough to die like the other guys did. But he's looking into the furnace, just waiting for it to happen, waiting to see them all just go to a crisp. And to his amazement, he sees not 3 men, but 4 in the flames. And they're all just walking around and standing there and not giving a shit about anything. And they're clearly not dying. The king yells into the furnace. Oh, sorry. Side note. It's very specific, and I didn't mean to skip it. The king says, basically, what the fuck? He says, we threw 3 people in there, right? Why do I see 4 in there? They aren't even tied up anymore because the ropes they were tied up with did burn up, right? Because it was so hot. And the 4th guy looks like the son of a god. Like, apparently the fourth guy was magical and beaming and whatever. So the king was like, what's going on? So he yells into the furnace to talk to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego at all, etc. Plus extra. And he's like, he calls into the furnace and tells them to come out of the furnace. And they just walk. I think the three of them just walk out. They just straight up walk out. And they're like, sup. And they're fine. And it says that it wasn't just the king that saw this. I mean, there were witnesses. All the A-list celebrities. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. was there. Taylor Swift was there. Everybody. Beyonce. They all were there, and they all witnessed it as well. And were like, holy shit. And it says that aside from the ropes being burnt, so they were free to walk around, their clothes weren't singed. Their hair was fine. They didn't even smell like smoke or ash. They were perfectly fine from this. King Nebuchadnezzar basically like, okay, praise be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I'm making a new rule. If anyone, anywhere, paraphrasing, talks shit about their God, that person will be cut into pieces and their house turned to rubble. Which is clearly his go-to threat. They just love cutting people into pieces and turning their houses to rubble. And then he gave him another promotion. So they just keep going up the corporate Babylonian King Nebuchadnezzar ladder. So, and that's about it. That's the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and a little bit of Daniel. We will focus more on Daniel in the next story. If you know anything about the Bible, you already in your head know where it's going, but it's super fun also. Yeah, I talked about what's happening next. I talked about that. If you haven't already, please hit us up on Twitter. We're on Twitter, Getting Biblical. Instagram, Getting Biblical. Of course, I am Matt Smith. I can be found on Twitter, and I am Matt Smith IG on Instagram. Follow us on Facebook and all those things. Subscribe. I don't know. There's so many stuff. Am I supposed to say all that stuff? I don't know. Did you listen to the first episode? I'm new to this. I have no idea what I'm doing. I appreciate you listening all the same, and hope you have a great day. Cheers. guys, before you go, one last thing. I just realized I'm really excited. I just realized the connection between what I was drinking and the story, which I am an idiot. I'm the world's biggest idiot. I'm so dumb. And this was absolutely not on purpose. Now, this is actually, I'm adding this in post-edit or whatever. As I finished the episode, I wrapped it up. I left outside or whatever. So the bottle I'm drinking is the Apothic Inferno wine. And the story is Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego being thrown into a furnace that's 7 times hotter than normal and killed the guards that threw them in there. I'm like, if that's not the perfect pairing of what I'm drinking to the story that I'm telling, I don't know what is. And it absolutely wasn't planned. It was somewhere between dumb luck and divine intervention. Anyway, I got really excited as I was picking up the bottle to pour the last little bit into my glass to finish it off in a post episode. I don't know what you want to call it, like little ritual, or just I like drinking wine and was finishing it. I don't know, it caught me that was perfect, so I had to share. Also, in case you're curious about the wine, I didn't notice this even when I was buying it or earlier when I was looking at it. It is potent. It is over 15%, and a lot of wines are like 6-7 somewhere in there. So pretty dope. It will get you where you need to go. Anyway, I just thought that was an amazing okay, never mind. I'm a dork. Okay, thanks. Bye.